Hi, everybody.
Hello. Hi. Hi.
Welcome. We're really glad to see you here today. And I'd like to introduce you to Jennie, who most people who hang around these parts know as Starfish HHI. So, welcome, Jennie. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. So, what's the HHI stand for? I've
Hil-
always wondered.
Hilton Head Island.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I,
Perfect.
yeah.
Wonderful. Well, Jennie and I have wanted to work together before, and things got in the way. And then we were going to do one on transitions, but then I decided it's too close to personal stuff that went on with me. I wasn't up for transitions right now. So Jennie came up with this fabulous idea about talking about past lives and past life experiences and reincarnation. So I thought we would start out with just maybe talking a little bit about our own experiences, which are vastly different, and then asking anybody in the chat if you want to have a reading about past lives or anything else really. So if you do, just but let's start off about tell us about your own past life experiences if you'd like to, anybody in the chat, so that we can share those. But past lives, I haven't done the kind of research Junosphere would be doing about them. But I think if you're here, you pretty much understand that this is it, the way of things. It seems to be uh, most religions have some idea of past lives, and those that don't, it's rumored that past lives were part of the early Christian writings, but weren't included in the final canon of the Bible. But to me, it just seems like, especially someone who lives in a place where there's four seasons, it's like, how come everything else around here dies every year and comes back again in the spring? How come we could be the one exception from nature? But it seems to make a lot of sense. And it also makes me think of nature as far as, like aspen trees, where they're not individual trees, they're all little spikes that come up from a common, what they call the pando, like this big root system underground. So they're like our individual lives, we're all united, all one, and each tree that grows and dies is an individual expression of that. And that somehow, I don't know, for me, it makes me think about past lives too. But oops, something happened. Uh-oh.
What happened?
Oh, whew. I clicked on something and I was on the right, I went on to a different page. Ah, okay. Good. Well, let's see if I can. Yeah, I'm just trying to clear things so I can see what's happening in the chat. Wonderful. Sorry about that. Okay. Well, Jennie, tell us about some of your experiences with past lives.
Well, I had two past lives in Savannah, Georgia. One was during the Civil War, and one was in 1820. And I lived in Atlanta for about 20 years, and I would go through Savannah. And every time I went to Savannah, I would get so happy. I was obnoxious. All I could say was, "I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I'm so happy." And then when it came time to like leave, you have to like drag me out of there. I don't want to go. So it became obvious over the years that I had lived there and been very happy. So I had a reading from an angel. Um, his name is Dr. Peoples, and I've had readings with him since 2010. So he gave me some info and filled in some of the details. And he told me, yes, you were there in 1820 and you died in a fire. And he said, and some of those um, repercussions, came into this lifetime and show up in physical aspects. And then also, I was a woman in during the Civil War, and I had a house in downtown Savannah, and my house was part of the Underground Railroad.
Wow.
And the island I live on now was part of the Underground Railroad too. So I've actually, you know, basically reincarnated and moved back to where I used to be, and I've met people that I knew
Wow.
in Savannah during the Civil War. And when you meet them, it's obvious. It's just really amazing. And I also was able to regress back to 1820 and heal that particular death. And I died in the fire of 1820. So when I was working on that, I actually manifested a burn on my face. And I didn't freak out or anything. I had a burn like all over my lip. It was so I was like,
Wow.
okay, this is just coming up for being to be healed. And then it did. It just kind of went away about 3 days because I didn't freak out about it. But you can actually heal those parts of yourself that maybe aren't perfect, and by going back and regressing or just working on it, sending what happened to the light.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I want to stop for just a second and say welcome to some people here. Sun Psychic Jean and Wasted Millennium, Junosphere, and Swampy 63. Hi, Gertrude Shu, Flowing, and yeah, thank you all for coming. But you brought up a couple of things that I'm amazed that you have such specific information about your past lives. You mentioned that when you meet someone that you knew in a past life, it becomes obvious. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah.
What makes it so obvious?
So during the Civil War, I was involved with a person, and he went off to fight, and he never came back, and I never knew what happened to him. So I stopped eating then and died of uh, starving myself, but really died of a broken heart. So
Wow.
I ran into this person here, and he actually came from New York or Long Island and moved here after 9/11. And then I'm looking at, I was outside in like an outdoor bar, looked across the way, and I saw this man, and I saw him from behind, and I just gasped. I went, "Oh my gosh, he's beautiful." And then I didn't say anything, but it was really extraordinary. And I just kind of lost my breath, and I didn't even see him from the front. So then about a week later, he came up to me and started talking, and he was attracted to me too, but he didn't know why. He never has known why, and I didn't let him in on what why. But so the part about that life, I didn't get to see him or know that he was gone. I just knew, he never came back. So in this lifetime, we became friends for like 2 years. He got really, really sick, and his daughter called me one day and said, my father is in a hospital in Savannah. Would you go and sit with him for the afternoon, because I can't come this weekend? And so I went over there and sat with him. When I walked in the door, he looked dead. I went out back out and asked the nurse if he was dead, and he wasn't. So I got to sit there and do in this lifetime what I didn't get to do in that particular lifetime, and then it healed it, and he did live. So
Oh,
yeah,
good.
I always have a really fondness in my heart for this person.
That's
But
beautiful.
we really got to, the synchronicities lined up so that we got to finish that off. And it just, I'm just get teary eyed just thinking about that.
That's beautiful. Mine haven't been so dramatic, but it's sort of, to me, one of the indications that you've had a past life with someone is that you meet them and immediately you know them. And it's like, oh, it's you. Hi, how are you? That immediate feeling of familiarity and comfort. And there just isn't that little invisible barrier of kind of protection or whatever that you usually have when you meet a stranger. And I've had that several times. One of them was with like my first boss in my first job out of college. And so I worked with her for a while, and it was like we knew each other, and we really worked together hand in glove really, really well, even though we're very different people and everything. And then I went off and did something else, and so did she. But then she got into another job and she hired me back again. And it was that same feeling of kind of being home and of it's almost like the way you feel about a sister or something. So at some point during that, I went to see the psychic that I'd seen for years and years, and I said, "So has this person and I, have we had past lives together?" And I loved it because she said, "Yeah, you lived in on adjacent farms, and you're about the same age, and you used to get together because there wasn't a lot to do." And would just like walk the fence rails together on top of the fences. And So it wasn't anything dramatic. No one was Cleopatra or the King of Siam or anything like that. And that made me feel like it made me believe it, just because it was such a normal thing. And when you think we've all had hundreds, if not thousands, of lives, I'm sure a lot of them were pretty dull. We all learned something from them, but it wasn't like we were all royalty or rulers or something like that. So that was one of them. And the other one was just very similar. A new neighbor came to the door with her daughter who was selling Girl Scout cookies. And there was just this immediate connection. And we have been best friends ever since. And yeah, so there's that feeling. Um, what are some other indications that you are aware of about a past life?
Well, I mean, as far as locations, if you go somewhere you've never been before and you feel like you're home, that's definitely somewhere you've lived before and we're happy. But I met another person that I had a contract with before we came, and unbeknownst to me at that time. And this person, I met him in the gym, and when he would walk past me, he'd just say something funny and keep walking. And it was like this white light like shot into my solar plexus every single time he would walk by me. It would almost knock me down, and I'm like, this is before I really realized what everything that happened. But so that particular contract was my part of it was that I was supposed to become more intuitive, and I did. I became way more intuitive, but I also went through a dark night of the soul. But then I came out here, so
Mhm.
it was good. But yeah, so yeah, that was a past life because I asked Dr. Peoples, did I know this person? And he was like, oh yeah, you many many times, and it never really did work out well either. So you're trying to get it to work out well, and then it didn't. So
Wow. I think too, sometimes an indication is, at least for me, um, a fear response. Like some people say, oh, people who may have drowned in a past life can't go swimming, or people who died in a fire are unnaturally afraid of fire. Everyone should have a healthy skepticism of it. Um, and for me, I've noticed that I am it takes all I can do to do this kind of work and to kind of come out as someone who has these types of experiences, not only or even believes in them, because I do believe that I've done this kind of work before in past lives, and it was not well received, at least in the end. That I don't know if I even want to explore it further, but there is a you know, everybody feels a little tentative about putting yourself out there, but I can have an exaggerated fear response about making, coming forward with this kind of stuff. And to me, that's a past life indication, just a little whiff that, yeah, you might have been drawn and quartered or burned at the stake or drowned as a witch or something like that. So it's, do I really want to do this again? But now I feel like that I can, and using the logical mind and knowing that, look around, people, witches aren't being, you know, drawn and quartered or burned at the stake, that there are people who do this work, have been doing it, and are becoming more and more accepted. So I'm trying to get over that. And here I am on YouTube.
yeah, I mean, I think that our lives are progressive. So we're our soul is attempting to ascend, and one of the ways we're attempting to ascend is through these life after life after life after life, and you come back and you try to improve, you try to get better, you try to raise your vibration by every life. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also remember one more. This was a dream, but I after the dream, I asked Dr. Peoples because, like, he's an angel now. He used to be a human, and he lived on the earth for 99 years.
And this is Dr. Peoples is one of your guides?
No, he's channeled through a trance channel named
Okay.
Summer. So I would have readings from Summer, and then he would come through.
Okay.
So I had this dream, and it was so real that I was in either Germany or Austria in that like hilly mountainous area where kind of like where Germany meets Austria, and I was part, and I was a part of the team of people to take out children, sneak them out of the country during World War II in
Wow.
France, and it was so specific, and that was true too. Yeah, and the reason I had that dream was at that time I was thinking that I wasn't a good person, and I was blaming myself for things that really weren't my fault. And the dream came to me to show you, yes, your soul is a good soul, and you shouldn't be blaming yourself for anything. So it came back to help me.
Yeah. Now, that's another indication that if you are drawn to a certain period in history
Yeah,
or certain events, and this is interesting that you mentioned that because I believe that I've had a past life kind of in the World War II area, and I've always been drawn to France. And I'm like, if there's a novel about plucky women from in the French Resistance or in London during the Blitz or something like that, that's like my favorite thing to read. And I thought, yeah, that might indicate something. And I do remember, gosh, I hadn't been thinking about this. When I was in college, my very first trip to France was a January abroad thing, and we went out to the coast of Normandy, and there was a museum there that kind of you went through and stood on these risers, and it was kind of in a not a great big room, but then there was a movie about the D-Day landing and all of that. And then so you saw the picture in the movie, and then you would go out on the deck and see all the landing craft that are still there. And I had the nearest thing I've ever had to a panic attack in that room, because it was just like it was just too much. And then to go outside and say, and nothing's changed. It's still here. This is like it happened yesterday. And I was like, kind of having this panic attack, and not a full blown one, but
mhm,
it really got to me. And I'm not that, excitable of a person. So it was very much out of the ordinary to me. And I was just devastated that all that death that was there. And then we went to the American cemetery in France, and it was, thousands and thousands and thousands of white crosses. And the grief was overwhelming about how stupid it all was, and for what, and all these young lives lost. So of course, afterwards, I went home and saw my psychic, and she said, "Oh yeah, you were there."
yeah.
And
I mean,
plus there were all these ghosts of soldiers who hadn't crossed over yet. So it was both a past life thing and a trapped spirit thing that sort of combined to make that a difficult experience. But yeah, so those things can happen. But
yeah.
tell me about how you have accessed past lives. Do you do regressions? Are they group regressions? Are they in your own meditation? How did you find these things out?
No, I just the regression I did, I went to a person and did it like we're doing right now
Mhm.
online. I can't remember his name right now, but he goes back and takes you to where in time your physical ailments in this lifetime began, and then helps you heal them. So so it's a meditation, so he like takes you into the meditation, and then he'll say like, "Where are you?" Things like that. And I just remembered very distinctly being in a building, and there was a glass window, and I was banging on the glass window and couldn't get out. So I don't understand why I couldn't get out of the glass window. Why didn't it just break? But that was in 1820. So maybe they didn't have breakable glass. I don't know. And I was so angry at God. I was yelling at him, like, why aren't you letting me live out my life? I was so, so angry. And so that manifested in my physical body in this lifetime.
Ah,
So what he helped me to remember it, and then he led you in, like, sending bringing in the angels and bringing in source, and then sending it up to the light, sending that memory and that death up to the light, and actually completely and totally healing it.
beautiful.
So I don't
That's
have any bad feelings about that. But I was doing a lot of research too about that. Once Dr. Peoples had just thrown in a reading, oh yeah, you died in the fire of 1820. I'm like, what? I did? Okay. So I started researching, and I couldn't find out too much. I mean, many blocks, it was like an explosion, and many blocks went up. But they didn't write down the name of the dead people in 1820 until May. And this was in January until May of 1820. That's when they started writing down uh, the dead. They didn't record the deaths, so I couldn't find any information
Wow.
really. But yeah, we
Well,
don't.
I've had a couple of like group regressions,
Mhm,
and one of them I did with my sister, and it was the whole thing is a big meditation where you just really, really let go and get you know really into it, and then at the end they say, okay, and now open your eyes and look down at your feet and te- oops, excuse me, tell me what kind of shoes you're wearing, and then look up your body and see where you are. And I looked down at my shoes, and I was wearing the same shoes in my mind that I was wearing, and I knew that I was still on the floor of this space on a I so I didn't have anything. But I talked to my sister afterwards, and there were two regressions, and I got nothing. But she had two of them, and one of them was that she was a very poor woman, kind of in the Middle Ages somewhere, but she had a beautiful family. And by this time, her husband, whom she'd loved very, very much, had worked all his life and died of just kind of overwork. And she was living with her son and daughter, and she had grandchildren. And even though they were kind of hand to mouth, they didn't have a lot at all. There was so much love.
mhm,
And she was doing what she could, even though she was more physically not as mobile and everything, to continue to give. And she just felt like this richness of love. And then in the very next one,
mhm,
she was a kind of an aristocrat in um, I think like 19th century England, and lived in this big mansion and had all kinds of servants. And she was wearing this beautiful gown. She and her husband had she'd come down the grand staircase, the marble stairs and everything like that. And she had gone from one event, and she had to get changed into the evening wear. And she was all dressed up and looking beautiful, and had the servants helping her put our jewelry on and all of that kind of thing. And she was going off into the carriage because she'd gotten out of the carriage, gone upstairs, got changed, and was running down because they were going off to yet another party. And she tripped on the hem of her dress and hit her head on the marble stairs and died.
oh,
And
oh,
what she's remembered was her spirit coming out of that body and realizing what a shallow person she was, and how she had been so mean to all of her servants. Because even that day, getting her dressed, well, hurry up, I have to get going, and we're going to the party, and can't you be, and just being real kind of bitchy to
oh,
her servants. And she was just aghast. And she looked at those two lives and thought, oh, things aren't always what they seem on the outside. The poor woman who had her life was just filled with love of family and of contributing to the community and everything, was so rich and so happy in comparison to this aristocratic life that she saw in when she became spirit again, was so shallow and didn't do anything to advance her soul other than to teach her this lesson. But then years later, she was watching some PBS costume drama, and you know how they are very precise about getting everything, all the details just right. And she said, I don't remember what the TV or uh, the series was, but there was a carriage just like the one that she had been riding in. And I
wow,
remember her telling me that it was so sophisticated that it wasn't just black leather on the carriage seat. It was some sort of a French blue, a kind of a tealy blue. And here in this television program that is known for being very, very accurate about details, it was the exact color of this French blue leather on this exact same type of carriage. So
wow.
that was kind of a nice confirmation that, that kind of came through for her, that remember this lesson, this really happened.
Oh,
But let's see. Um, have you read any do you have any books to recommend? I think Dr. Brian Weiss um, really got me going on past lives, and I I think Journey of Souls is one of them, but he's got a whole series of books where he did just what you were describing, of taking people back to a period that was contributing to whatever health problems were going on for these people. And it just kind of started happening to him. I think he was a psychiatrist or psychologist or something like that. And he didn't go fishing for it, but it just started to happen, and had wonderful stories of healing people through that. Yeah.
So I just happened to look over, and there's this book sitting here. I haven't read it in forever. It's called Why We Are Born, Remembering Our Purpose Through the Akashic Records. Um, so, we don't need somebody to figure out your past life, or you can go to your Akashic Records yourself. All you have to do is say the Akashic prayer in your meditation, then and of course the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. But nobody needs help. They can do it themselves.
That's good to know.
And there's the Akashic record, you can Google, the Akashic prayer, you can Google it, or there's some on YouTube. Just put in the Akashic prayer, and there's wonderful people reciting the Akashic prayer. But yeah.
Well, let's go in, and I've starred a couple of people's comments. And Gertrude Shu said that she actually went, oh, let's see, did I put this up? Show. And she was answering to Swampy 63. I actually went to a professional hypnotist and could not access my past lives. I gave up after that. Well, you're kind of like me, Gertrude. I haven't been able to do that so far, but I do have an appointment with Akashic Bob, so I'm looking forward to seeing what he said. And here's something from Wasted Millennium. When I was a kid, I remember getting run over or something similar in the streets. But the weird thing is that this was like in the late 1800s. I'd love to have a reading, past or present. And let's see. There was a stroller involved, either that or either I sat in it or I was driving someone else in it. I'm sorry, I'm starring these because my eyes aren't good enough. It looks like there's stories here, but it's hard for me to read them. And I think Juno is correct in this. I think that some people are more susceptible to allowing themselves to be hypnotized than others. And I think that's definitely true. Let's see. And Swampy 62 said, I'm pretty sure that this is my first incarnation on this land, unless I was here before and it became America. Interesting. That's a good way to look at it. Well, how about Jenny? Should we, let's see, I think it was, should we try to tune in and see if we can get a past life reading for Wasted Millennium?
Okay.
All right. And should we do you want to read, or should I read the Akashic prayer that you sent?
You can read it.
Okay. All right. Here it is. Divine Creator, it is our intention to open a clear channel to our Akashic records and the Akashic records of the people we are helping. Such a clear channel through which any truth and 100% divine light will flow. Help us to understand your teachings and incorporate them into our daily life experiences. Help us to put your wisdom into action to create abundance, happiness, and peace that we desire. So shall it be for now until eternity. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So let's take a moment and see what we can bring in as a past life for Wasted Millennium. And of course, we're bringing in our guides and angels and departed loved ones, and Archangel Gabriel to help with communication. Go ahead.
Metatron.
And Archangel Metatron, and Archangel Michael for protection too. For the highest good for all with harm to none. Wow. What I'm seeing is the image that came in was a big gray boulder, and you are working, you've got a sledgehammer, and you're just slowly plonk, 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 working away at it, trying to break it up. And then when I look closer, you've got a chain on your leg.
Oh.
Yeah. So, what's the meaning for this for Wasted Millennium? Why is this important for her to see, him or her to see in this lifetime? You were there, whether this was as a serf or an enslaved person or a prisoner, you didn't have any choice. You were made what to do, told what to do, and made to do it. And it was, you found what hope and what pleasure you could, but it was a hard life. And you were not allowed to be fully human. You were treated as a means of production, a means to an end, a tool. You were treated as a tool yourself. And it was a sad life. It was a hard life. I'm feeling heartache. I'm not feeling so much your heartache because you had kind of shut down. And it's like, there's no way out. I'm just going to take the sledgehammer and hit this rock. But what I'm feeling is you had a family that loved you and felt your absence and yes, suffered because of it, because you weren't there to help provide for the family or tend to the family. But there was real love there. So you were loved. And somehow the knowing that you were loved. Now I'm seeing in the tree next to the rock, there's a bluebird sitting in it. And it was like that was the only positive thing in your life at this time as an adult, that the memory and the knowledge, the memory of their love and of being a family, and the knowledge of that, yes, there's still people who know me as more than a tool and who love me for who I am and who believe in me. That was the only thing that got you through your days. So, what's the lesson for now for Wasted Millennium? Don't be a tool. If you feel like you might be someone who feels more compelled to go your own way, even when it might be easier to conform to, you might be an entrepreneur or someone who always wants to have a side hustle. There is a real feeling, maybe it's more in relationships, that any kind of feeling of confinement or being controlled does not sit well with you. Anything else, Spirit? Okay, let's go within, and I'll go within, and let's now go in to that image of this person underneath the tree with the bluebird in it, but taking a sledgehammer to this huge boulder. And let's cut that chain. And let's take the sledgehammer away from this person and say, you're free now. You don't have to hit this rock anymore. You don't have to carry this sledgehammer with you. Thank you. We thank you for everything this lifetime has taught Wasted Millennium, but anything that tethers her to it, him or her to it, those chains are now broken so that they can move on and benefit from the lessons that it has taught that are positive. But you're not chained anymore. You're free to go. You're free to be who you are and to express yourself. You don't have to be worried about being a tool or being under the control of others. And we God bless you and send you on your way. Thank you. What do you get for Wasted Millennium?
Beautiful. That was really beautiful. Absolutely. I very intensely got, and I'm seeing purple. Whenever I see purple, that's when my guide is right here. I got New Orleans. So for that stroller accident, I got New Orleans, on the streets of New Orleans. And
Okay.
I do believe that wasted millennial um, transitioned then, and it was a very happy life, but not too excited about leaving at the time. A little surprised, but how does that bring into this life? Well, it's just like enjoy the life that you have now. Just make the most of it and the best of it. Um, that's what I get.
That's great. Let's see. Wasted Millennium said, well, thank you. I get it. I don't do anything anyone else tells me to do in this life. Probably very tied into this life for sure. That's wonderful. And oh,
Love
there's Dave Maud. Hi, Dave.
you do healings, after at the end of your readings. That's wonderful.
That just came to me to do this. Well, let's see who else. That's cool though that you tied into what she was talking about the stroller.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you for that. I think that some people, okay, we've gotten that. For sure, my first. Let's see if Swampy 63, if this is her first incarnation in North America or in America. Okay, Spirit. I see a sailing ship coming to the coast of North America. Where is that ship coming from? It's coming from the Mediterranean Sea. So there's so many countries there. Where did this ship start out? I'm seeing it on the northwest side. So it's either like Spain or um, southern France. I'm hearing Marseille. I'm kind of seeing this bustling port city. It's really dirty, and there's a lot of people wanted to leave. When was this period? Um, I'm not getting a really good time period. It was the time of the big sailing ships with the tall ships, and women were in long dresses, and men were wearing kind of like maybe it's like Revolutionary War time in the United States or before that. And the ship went to the Caribbean islands first. That ship went to the Caribbean islands, and then where did she go?
Came into the port of New Orleans.
Oh, okay. I
Mhm.
got him to the Caribbean, but I couldn't take her any further. Where do you take it from there?
That ship wait. Well, we'll do it together. But yeah, the ship came into the port of New Orleans.
Wow. Okay, so let's see where she goes from there. I'm seeing her as a woman.
I think she was wealthy. What do you think?
That's interesting because I was seeing her with a tailor, and I wasn't sure if she was the tailor or if she was the one ordering the clothes.
She's ordering the clothes.
Okay.
She's really wealthy. She is the lady, and she's having a wonderful time living in New Orleans, living the high life, going to parties.
Okay. So what's the lesson? of that trip, that voyage, and this beautiful, or at least at that time, this highfalutin life in New Orleans. What's the meaning of that for uh, Swampy 63 here today? Oh, my word. I'm just checking, and she said, I was born in Louisiana. I've been picking up on this lady recently. Okay.
I think she had a family, like children. She was the lady of the house, big house, downtown with children. And
I I'm getting that she knew she was very cultured and knew how things were supposed to be done. So if you get any of that, it's like if people think you're kind of like you always have to have the linen napkins or something like that, that's her bleeding through. But she also, which is a little more unusual for the time, or maybe not for New Orleans, she knew how to have a good time too. She could be strict with her children and with her servants, um, but she also she had a generous heart and really loved to get together with her friends and the community and kind of kick up her heels too.
yeah, I get that she was a really good person, like you said. She was happy and she did good in the world.
I was getting the feeling that she worked through either through her church or through charities to help people. But
Yeah,
she had high standards.
yeah.
Swampy, did that make any sense to you? Oh, here we go. My vision house is a plantation house in the Louisiana swamp.
Mm.
Maybe that's where she.
She got houses. One one plantation, one in the city.
That's probably true.
Mhm.
Because when it gets too hot in the swamp or too hot in the city, you go somewhere else. Interesting. Well, this is fun.
This is fun.
All right, let's see. What else do we have? Okay. We've read those. Does anybody else want to give it a try? We've got about 15 more minutes. If you'd like us to try to okay, let me put up the banner here. I'm sorry, I'm being um let's tell us about your past life experience or uh oh, here it is. We can do regular readings, or if you want a past life reading, just put it in the chat. And now how do I get back there to comments? Me, says Hypnicity. Okay, now we'll stop the banner. And excuse me, I'm so sorry I'm taking so long. I'm not quite. Okay, so here's Hypnicity. Let's see what we can come up with for a past life for Hypnicity. The first thing I got it was like a botanical print. I saw an oak leaf and an acorn. So what's this mean, Spirit? Oh, and now I see you um, painting, like you were creating botanical prints or botanical paintings. You're very interested in the natural world. I'm seeing you as a man, uh, and I'm also seeing that you are close to the Native American people. I'm seeing you like in the kind of in the Northeast. I don't know enough about Native American culture, but I know that there were like the 5 tribes that were kind of up in the Northeast that made a pact. I think I'm not even going to say because I'll get the names of the tribes wrong. But it was, um, it was among those tribes, and you were a white person that somehow had some access uh, and knew some of the native people and would go in and learn from them and also and do these paintings. And it was your interest and reverence for nature by kind of doing these the scientific documentation. Oh, I'm seeing now like of birds too, of trying to do drawings and sort of document everything. Uh, that drew the it helped make a bridge to the native people. They didn't like that part of that whole scientific effort was to like kill a bird and just kind of stuff it or whatever just to study it. That didn't make sense. If you don't kill anything unless you're going to eat it. Um, but they recognized that you had an interest in the natural world, and that was enough of a bridge that they let you in a little bit. Okay, what influence does this have on hypnicity's current life? Are you a bird watcher or a hiker or somebody who really likes to get out in nature? What is, she said, I was born in Blackfoot, Idaho. Okay. And I'm a woman in this knife. Okay, got it. What do you get for hypnicity?
You have to say what you get. I don't know why I got this. I'm getting that hypnicity looked like a trader. You know how they would, traders would wear the fur hats and the skins and everything, but not necessarily was a trader. But that's just what I'm getting. Like, maybe went around like and not a trapper. No, not like not killing anything, but traveling around. But they looked like that. More the animal skins and the fur hats. Um, that's all I got right now.
And probably in connection because you're trading with the native people, right?
Yeah,
So there's that connection with the natives. Let's see.
yeah.
I'm a Cancer, so the salt water calls to me, she said. Okay, and she also says, love the name Nalani. I have a friend who, oh, okay, that was, oh, and that's her name. Um, Also, oh, that's right, you have Hawaiian roots, not native though. That's right. And feel Celtic influences too. Interesting. So those are probably other lives,
Yeah,
but it's interesting that we both kind of got this connection to native people.
and traveling around,
Mm-hmm.
traveling.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's see if we can. And are we correct that you have an affection for nature and the outdoors and animals and birds and things, Hypnicity? Just let us know.
you know, now
Okay, go
start
ahead.
talking to everybody, and we talk about reincarnation and other lives. I think we've all had thousands of lives. I mean, just thousands upon thousands of lives. We just leave, turn around and come back, leave, turn around and come back. And it doesn't have to be necessarily on Earth either. So, yeah.
Yeah, I
And
have birds and dogs, she says, and I think a trader would probably have a dog,
yes,
and definitely there's the birds.
just do. Of
And
course.
here's Wasted Millennium said, thank you very much. I believe you got some bad blocked energy out of my throat chakra because after your reading healing, my throat started to spasm like I've never experienced. For entertainment purposes only, we are not doctors or healers, or at least I don't claim to be, but I hope that cleared some stuff out for you. Thank you for telling us.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, cool. And Hypnosis said she loves eagles, which is beautiful. That's great. Should we try one more person? Let's see. Oh, here's AD. I'm sorry I missed this earlier. Oh, here. And Hypnosis said she does paint. So that was part of what we got. All right. And here is AD who said, I had a past life as a doctor in Paris. I was a man. Can you tell me more about this? All right, let's do this. Hmm. I'm seeing you with your bag and the stethoscope. So it's not ancient times. Oh, well, it's too, with the stethoscope means it's too modern to be like the Black Death or anything.
I kind of got a plague. I mean, there was something
I
bad.
was too, yeah. I don't know if it was smallpox or the 1918 flu, but I'm just feeling this like there are all these people who are dying and you can't do anything about it and you're just despondent.
Yeah, there was a plague or flu or something. I got that right away.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you would go from person to person and try to help, but really you couldn't. And that was, you know, frustrating as a doctor.
Yeah. Yeah. It really tore your heart out. Okay. Did this disease, did AD's previous doctor incarnation die of this disease?
I have a like really tight feeling in my chest.
Me too. I wonder if it's consumption. What they called, what was consumption? Tuberculosis. And I think that's how you passed too. It was such a helpless feeling.
So too.
You were such a good person. You tried to help so many people and felt like so helpless. And then in the end, you got it yourself. Okay. Let's see if we can go in and heal this. First, let's ask Spirit, what's the lesson here for AD in this life? There are things that are out of your control. No matter how smart you are, no matter how intelligent you are, no matter how well trained and prepared you are, there's always, you can't save everyone. You can't
Yeah, I
do
got
as much as you'd
my,
like to
my
do.
son was just my guides are really fast and
Okay.
you can't help everybody. You can't, you
Yeah.
know.
Okay. So what's,
And not your fault. Not your fault. So there might be some guilt coming over.
and just let that go. Yeah. And I'm seeing like a picture of Atlas with the world on his shoulders, that it's time to let go of that feeling of responsibility for the entire, an unreasonable sense of responsibility for things that are outside of your control. And I don't know if that's a issue that you've ever felt or have had to deal with earlier in life. Let's see. I went to Europe with my family. When we got to Paris, it was familiar. Yeah, I can believe that. Great.
So does any of that um, not being able to help everybody in that life, has that come into this lifetime at all? AD?
Yeah, just let us know. But in any case, we're just going to bring in the angels and just clear that out, clear the lungs, but mostly clear out that feeling of helplessness and feeling like you have to help everyone when it really isn't. There's no way to do it. To set up reasonable expectations of what you can do and what you can't do, and the ability to just say, to do what you can, and then just say, God bless them and send them on their way. This is what I can do. I'll send you light and love, but it's not my job to try and save every person.
Yeah, like do what you can, and then send the problem other people are having to source for source to take care of.
Yeah,
That light.
wonderful. And she said yes, that she's had that experience. And Swampy 63 said she's suffered from that experience too. Well, thank you, people. I think we've been at about
This is
almost an
fun.
hour now. This was like I tend to do these experiments, try things that we haven't even practiced or done before. And this was kind of fun. I really enjoyed it. I hope you did too. Jenny, would you like to try this again sometime?
Sure, absolutely. I think we've opened that door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe we can do it again in a month or so. And after that, I might have some more good stories because I'll come back and tell you all about what Akashic Bob says to me, since I can't seem to access these on my own. Um,
And you just haven't, you know, do it in your meditation. Say the opening prayer and then meditate. The more you do it, the better you get at it, just like your psychic muscle. And
yeah.
also have to say the closing prayer because, you need to close that Akashic records out.
Okay. So let's do the closing prayer for this. I thank the masters, guides, and teachers of the Akashic Records for their assistance in this quest. It is our intention to now return to the third dimensional awareness. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank all of you for coming. Oh, and I also wanted to do one more thing. Oh, thanks, everyone. I was kind of tuning in today and trying to go back and see some of my past lives. But then I also asked if there were any, I was calling in the angels and the archangels and our guides and departed loved ones for help. But I was also adding to the usual group if there are any of our galactic friends who wanted to offer help. And I kind of got a little download. And because I got someone, and I can't claim who it was from or what type of person, but it was a different kind of energy. And what I got was, we have helped seed this planet over the eons and have seen souls return and live and grow. We're happy to be here at this particular time of great growth during the speeding up of the usual pace of development. It's with great interest and pleasure to see so many people searching for the truth that makes sense and that allows them to release the grasp of old understandings about the afterlife, one of reward and punishment. For those understandings do not allow for the vibration to raise as rapidly as is needed at this time. So they're not really saying that religion and thinking about things as heaven and hell, that, reward and punishment are necessarily bad, but it kind of slows down the overall ascension process or the raising of the overall vibration. So the message seemed to be, they're really pleased that people are coming out and talking about these things and not being afraid of being drawn and quartered for doing so. And that so our little gathering of however many people are here today are helping, and they're pleased with us. So I'm very pleased to have all of you here, and I'm especially pleased for Jenny to have come in and suggested this topic for us.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. That was
Yeah. And thank you everyone for coming, and I'll let you know if we do it all again. So we'll say goodbye just for now. Mwah. But like past lives, we'll be back.